All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first Third Thursday education series. I'm really excited to start these programs off with Malcolm and Will. We have here in the chat today sort of an outline of how the day is going to go, and also the link to donate. If you're watching this after the fact, I'll attach the link in your email. Our suggested donation is $25 if that is available to you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Will and Malcolm.
Thank you so much, Nora. I'm excited to be here today and be able to talk about our workshop, which we're going to cover 4 ways to create a preliminary melody with a story source who's not a musician, which is always so much fun to be able to be in a space with someone and work through those processes. The way that Malcolm and I wanted to do this was we wanted to start with 4 techniques. There are always more techniques. And I also want to preface this with saying that techniques can be used in any order and in any way or fashion. If you feel like you're in the session and something else may work better, definitely go with that. These are just 4 ways that could be helpful and could be useful for you in your sessions. So before we get started, I just want to also say that in our sessions, we've been talking a lot about recording our sessions throughout so that there is always the ability for you to go back to. If you feel like you're in a session and you are with the story source and you may forget and you may be in the spot and you think, oh my gosh, I forgot what you sang 3 minutes ago. I really loved the way that you sang record. You sang whatever word you were on, and you really wanted to get back to that. This could be an option for you to be able to press pause in the recording, go back to the recording and listen and be able to continue on with that. So we just wanted to start by saying that slating the take. So starting the recording, saying the date, saying what the recording is briefly, and then be able to move into your session. And later on, once you get into recording takes, that is when you can do smaller segments of recordings, just so that you're not scrolling through an hour of a recording to have 1 take. So feel free, obviously, to pause the recordings, take a new take, and then be able to go from there. So we wanted to start as well after the part, so we go into the lyrics, we're bolding the words that are on the downbeats. So we wanted to start just after that process, that stage in the process, just so that we can start to talk about how to get someone into the room and into the singing process. So we started with a line, which is, I just want my coffee to wake me up. And I am going to invite Malcolm into this space to be able to be the story source. And I am going to try to help him through finding those bolded words, just so that we can briefly run through this and then jump into the stuff that we're excited to talk about. So Malcolm, I would love for you to speak through this, or if you feel comfortable, start to get into the singing process of singing this line. But I'd love to really figure out where are the words that we want to emphasize. So without thinking too much, I'd love for you to just start by reading through this line.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Oh, you're pretty good, Will.
Malcolm, I love it. So I just want so I'm going to bold I. I just want my coffee. I'm going to bold coffee. I just want my coffee to wake. I'm going to bold wake. To wake me up. So there's a little bit of a conversation you could have. You could bold up if you wanted it to land on up. To wake me up. To wake me up. To wake me up. Or if you heard it a little bit afterwards, you could go to wake me up. We won't get too much into that. I'm going to leave it unbolded for the moment, just so that we can move forward. And so now we have our lyrics bolded. We have we have coffee, and wake, all bolded. So those are where the downbeats are. So now we're going to jump into our first technique, which is voice awakening. So when do we use it? When we've already tried tapping or chanting a line, that is not enough to get the story source to transition into the singing space, the space for them to feel comfortable to sing their line. And when even singing one pitch, when even singing their line on one pitch is challenging, this can be a technique to be able to use to get them into that singing space. So Malcolm is going to be my trusty story source, and he's going to give me an experience to try to work through using this technique. So Malcolm, now that we have this bolded, I would love for us to try to start to sing through it, and singing through it with the intention of having it just trying to start it on one pitch. We're going to see where we get with that. So try it first. Let's see where we get. Starting to sing, I just want my coffee to wake me up on one pitch.
Okay, I'm a little nervous about this, but here I go. I just want my coffee to wake me up.
That was great. So Malcolm, I really am happy about this because I did hear some musicality in that, and I'm excited to pull it out more. I would love for, I just want my coffee to wake me up. I would love for us to try singing it on one pitch. So let's try singing it on that pitch.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Nice. So we're getting there. And I love also that you have these spaces where you show emphasis, which is partly where we have it bolded as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to also pay attention to our body. So one thing I would love for us to try first is taking a little bit deeper of a breath, and using using the way that we shape our mouths to be able to sing into this a little bit more, so that we feel comfortable and ready to sing. So right before, let's just take one deeper breath. And the second breath you take, I would love for you to try to sing it slower. So if we could clap just a little bit slower, so that we're singing it at a pace that we can work through it more.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
That was great. I just want my coffee to wake me up. So I heard coffee was a really great word for you to open vowels. So opening vowels means that your mouth is opening a little bit more to allow the sound to come out. I also noticed that I is a great word to do that on. finding the spaces for the story source to start to get a little bit more into their body and a little bit more into their singing space is really an important thing if it's challenging for them to sing a line, finding that space for that to happen. So finding where vowels could happen and where vowels can open the mouth and open their bodies a little bit more into singing, and also slowing them down, because oftentimes you may have a story source that's really rushing through because they're anxious to sing. So asking them to slow down, do it a little bit slower, and that may also allow more space for them to start to show you signs of where their melody might go. So for this session, I think, Nora, would you think it would be useful to have the role play with you as well, or do you want to move to the next?
I'm happy to do what's in the schedule, and I can do some too.
Sure.
I think what you just did is amazing.
It's fun. It's fun to get someone into that singing space, even if it doesn't sound like singing yet. All of it has to do as well with how you're feeling in your body.
One thing that was helpful to me, Will, even though I didn't get all the way into singing, was when you gave the little example of singing the pitch. That brought some singing into the room for me too. I'm still too shy as this particular story source to get there, but it was helpful to me.
Yeah, so even as a teaching artist, you bringing music into the room can also be really helpful, and can bring them into that musical world. Malcolm, I think for time, it might be helpful for us to move to the next one. What do you think about that?
Okay, I'm going to be the teaching artist and you're going to be the story source.
Perfect.
Are you comfortable expressing this line of mine, Will? You okay with that?
I am really comfortable. I'm actually really excited about it.
All right, so if we do what Will is saying, try to bring some music into the room, help the story source be in the singing space. I think there's other people might say move them from the left hand thinking part of their brain to the right hand feeling part of their brain. We have this rhythm to work with, and it right now just feels like, but if we bring out an instrument, and it could be any stringed instrument, I happen to have a guitar right here, but it could be a cello, or I've thought about piano. Piano gives away a lot of pitches, but maybe if you just play fifths and not give the third, that might help out. So we have this rhythm of, I just want my coffee to wake me up. That's our basic rhythm. And to make it be a little more musical, if I just put in the 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. So I'm going to play that groove, and Will, I'm going to ask you to try to sing this. I just wanted my coffee to wake me up. I understand that because we're working on Zoom, when I play and you sing, we may not be in sync, but that's all right. The recording is going and we can decipher what happens. So here I go. Good luck to you. Enjoy yourself. I'm going to enjoy myself.
I just want my coffee to wake me up. Malcolm, I thought that sounded a little different from what we're doing. Can you remind me if you sang it once with your groove? What we wanted it to sound like?
Absolutely. Well, maybe you're right. I just want my, you're absolutely right. Well, what was it before? I just want my coffee to wake me up, right?
Yeah.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
I just want my coffee to wake me up. I just want my coffee to wake me up. I just want my coffee to wake me up. I just want my coffee to wake me up. That felt really good, Malcolm.
Okay, well, you did a good job there, Will. And as we all know, there are people who gravitate towards rhythm when they sing, and there are people who gravitate towards pitch when they sing. And you really feel the rhythm a lot. It may mean that you also want to have some pitches in the room to help you because you're a pitch-oriented guy.
Hmm.
So we have just demonstrated the technique, and Will responded, but we still didn't get an actual tone out of that guy. So this technique did not particularly work, probably because he's a more pitch-oriented person. So now we can turn it over to the role playing and the question session. Nora may have a question, and anyone else might have a question too.
I guess if what just happened in a real session and the person was just sort of speaking along with it, how would you introduce pitch? The same way that Will did before, or?
Yes, but I would also say that is a separate technique. If we separate the world into two kinds of people, which is really unfair, but imagine there are people who fall into the music space through rhythm. There are people who fall into space through pitches. We tried the rhythm way and it didn't work. So next we're going to try the pitch way.
I do really want to emphasize, though, for me, regardless of my experience, that was really, really helpful for me to just feel the first kind of step into the musical world, because of right when Malcolm started to play some type of rhythm on his guitar, that got my body loosened and starting to feel the rhythm in the line. So regardless of whether I didn't sing or did sing, that for me was really helpful to get into that space, which is why I'm excited about the next step.
I love too, Malcolm, how many times you repeated that rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So like Will sang it once and you didn't stop, you kept going. So he had to do it three or more times. And I think it's tempting sometimes to stop after one time. But I mean, I was grooving out over here too. And it, like Will, you said, it's really fun to just take a moment to sink into the rhythmic underpinning.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because when I do it, I go into the musical space and I'm just enjoying feeling the groove, and we'll get there at some point. I'm not worried about it, whether, may not be this technique, but we'll get there. And so I'm having a good time as we go.
Really fun. So yeah, I'm excited about the next step, which is what was hinted at from this last step. Malcolm, would you like to introduce this one?
Sure. I stumbled on this step when I was working with Hannah Batley, and this was some years ago. We'd already worked together on the first documentary song, Sunflower, and we'd gone through the process and the speak through, and we had the lyrics for the second one, A Star or an Angel. And I said to Hannah, okay, sing. And she went, well, I don't know. I want a chord first. And Hannah is the most musical person I've ever met. But she wanted a chord. And so I thought, well, I'll give her a chord. I gave her an F chord. And that opened her up, and she just went on, made a wonderful melody. So this technique is really when someone really wants to feel some notes in the room, some pitches, it's an offering there. Now there's questions about how many notes should you give? Should you give a whole chord? Should you give a chord without any major or minor in it? I'm not sure it really matters, but let's try with Will right now. And we're just going to give him, let's say, D's and A's without telling whether it's major or minor with the third in the middle. So I'm only going to play D and A and D and A. And I could do them, I can arpeggiate them here. On a keyboard, of course you can, and even on a cello or viola or violin. So there we have, and And can you now, Will, just give a go? And I just want my coffee to wake me up.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Okay, so we have the beginning on I just want my coffee. The beginning of a D came out there, I believe. Would you do it a few times, Will?
I just want my coffee to wake me up. I just want my coffee to wake me up.
So, Will, it sounds like we're really there now. It sounded almost as if you went, I just want my coffee to wake me up. And I hear a melody coming. So I feel like there's hope. Evidently, this pitch way seemed to work with you. We already had a rhythm set, of course. Okay, so now that's the demonstration. Time for questions and answers and role play.
What if, I don't know, whenever someone plays a pitch for me, sometimes because I'm conditioned by music school, I think I'm supposed to match the pitch. And what if I can't and I get stressed out? So is it okay if you do that and the story source sings, but it's completely has nothing to do with the key that you've set up?
My feeling is yes, any pitch is a good pitch at this point, and we can always find that pitch and work with it. Well, if we imagine we're trying to move them into a, as Will calls it, a musical singing space, any way we get there, once they're there, we're going to run and be with them.
So if you played that and I were to sing something that was totally different but was singing, then you would just sort of pivot and find
Pivot
it.
is the perfect word. Do you want to role play this?
I can try.
Okay. Here, you'll have to forget everything you've learned. All your talent has to go out the window now.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
So she can't help it. She's a little bit musical. She goes like. She moved down, I heard. It sounded like it was maybe a whole step. So I can always just move down a whole step too. Would you do it again, Nora?
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Now we're in the same tonic space, tonal space as well.
Cool.
I do love that because it's offering a space for them to start to sing, but it's always pivoting and going back and forth between the story source and the teaching artist, so that it's always kind of a back and forth and pass around of where you're going and what's happening. Thank you, Malcolm.
Sure. If there are no other questions, we can move on to what if that still didn't work?
Oh my gosh, we're still out of space. We've tried all these techniques and we're in a space where the story source may still just be providing somewhat of a groove or somewhat of what we had at the beginning, but we're really trying to get some sort of pitch or sound in that direction, and it's challenging for the story source. So this last step, I kind of think of it as, if you really need to go there, because it can be really helpful. I also think that it's more of kind of an open-ended space for you to really try to dig into what they're sharing with you. So this is pitches from inflections. So Malcolm, as the story source, would you mind speaking through what we have already with the bolds and the downbeats? Just speak through it. Let's do it twice.
Okay. I just want my coffee to wake me up. I just want my coffee to wake me up.
I just want my coffee to wake me up. So
I don't think I went up on wake, but I'm not really sure. Can I do it again?
I would love that. Yeah, definitely.
I just want my coffee to, well, maybe I did. I really don't know. I just want my coffee to wake me up. That's what I meant to do.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Yes, that's what I want. Yes, please.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
We're done.
Thank you so much, Malcolm. So this is a really fun, it's one of my favorite steps because it really takes trust, I think, between both people and both sides. And it also is just, it's so much fun to think as the musician or as the teaching artist, and as the second person, where are in their speaking voice, where is their pitch, or where is there a possibility to find pitch in that, and difference in pitch, which is so much fun. It brings me joy to do that every time. And this is, like I said, this can be a step that you find helpful towards the beginning of your process, but also if you feel like, I know that I had a story source a couple months ago, with Nora, and Nora was the star, and I was trying to work with him through his 2 lines, and it was really, I was using all the techniques and trying to find some melody in it, and he had a really great rhythm, he had really great lyrics, but pitch was really challenging, and he kept saying, I don't know what to sing, like, can you write the melody for me? And Nora came in and she actually started to pull out these pitches out of what he was saying. And that once we had, even, I think it was just 2 pitch differences, he started to hear that and he said, okay, that's making sense to me now. And he started to sing it back and forth to us. And that is, for me, a really great example of where this was helpful, is that if you're really struggling and if you're in a spot where your story is finding it challenging to sing pitches, this can be a really helpful technique to get them into that musical space. So yeah, any questions or role playing or comments?
I want to say bravo for that last one. That was really amazing to watch. I mean, it happened so fast. And like, I couldn't, yeah, like at first I couldn't hear the differences in Malcolm's voice. So I think you sort of have to turn on your listening ear. But then as soon as you sang them as actual pitches, I was like, oh yeah, of course. That's how it is. And maybe, Malcolm, that's how it felt to you a little bit too. Like when you heard Will sing it back and you were like, oh yeah, that's not right. He sort of brought it alive.
Very much Will brought it alive. And Will also gave me permission to have some authority. I could even say, no, that's not what I meant. And then I could demonstrate it. And then when Will did it, I actually was in the director's seat for a moment. Even if it was not yet firmed up, I felt a greater sense of control and that we were a team trying to find this melody together.
Yeah, so always, I would definitely see there being moments that are really important to even after the first part of you singing it back to them, or right after you're doing it the first time, say, you can offer saying, does that sound like something that you were thinking of, or trying to offer it back to them so that there's still as much space for them to offer variations or offer a change in what you gave to them. So always giving that space for them to find authority in the pitch. I also think it is important to think about when you're in that space. It's not necessarily, like Malcolm was saying earlier a little bit, it's not necessarily exactly the pitches that they sing. You're really just trying to offer something that sounds as close as it can be to what they're offering. So I really don't want you to feel intimidated by this step and thinking, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to pull a pitch out of speaking? That is insane. Really all it is just trying. I also think of it of where is there, it's kind of hard to conceptualize, but there's loudness. So where are they emphasizing by using loudness? But there's also, so trying to piece apart loudness versus pitch. And so trying to think of where are those little minute pitch differences that you can start to emphasize and start to bring out and bring out through singing. So sometimes it's hard to pull the loudness or quietness out of pitch differences, but sometimes you can also kind of playfully combine those two together to find just pitch and in a speaking voice. So so sometimes I might get to a point where it really sounds like it's on one pitch, but there's also some inflections that they're using, and I may say, okay, because they're getting louder or because they're emphasizing a certain word, I might go up on that. Or if they're backing off on a certain word, I may say, maybe that's a spot for me to go down. So starting to kind of stretch those two dimensions out, or those two kind of directions, is one way to think about it when you're trying to pull that out. Because I don't want you to be intimidated by the step. It can be really fun if you just try to hop into it and try to start to think about where are those moments for you to find pitch in.
You make me remember to mention two things, Will. With regards to the accuracy of the pitches that you're inferring from the inflections, since we're just going for a preliminary melody here, it doesn't have to be extraordinary. We're just trying to get some singing into the room. And the second point is that there's the challenge of singing as a teaching artist in a way that's human enough so that the story stories can sing with you or sing it back to you, that they don't feel as if, oh, they're the singer, I'm just the speaker. We want to make sure it's accessible to them right away, so that they can sing too, because that's the real goal. We're trying to get them to feel an authority and an authorship over the melody that can evolve and evolve and evolve from there.
I love that idea of accessibility, and I think you both sort of have words or phrases that you use because you've been doing this for a long time that invite that vulnerability or authorship. And I'm wondering if you have any suggestions or tricks for making this such a safe and open conversation.
Well, the first technique I have, and I have to say that I'm really good at this technique. I've practiced it a long time, and I'm close to mastery, and that is the ability to make errors. I've, even in this short time together, I've made a series of mistakes. I've forgotten what I said originally. I've started on the wrong pitch, and the ability to recognize those errors quickly. First, you have to be able to make them, and then you have to recognize them. And by being vulnerable and conveying, we're in this together. It's a team process. There's nobody on high here. I have a little expertise, but you have a lot of authority and authenticity, and together we're going to make something. So the ability to feel free to make errors and recognize them quickly, I think goes a long way to building that trust and safe space in which they feel comfortable to sing.
I love that.
Yeah, I was also thinking similarly to you, Malcolm. And for me, I'm grateful that it comes from my earlier days with Malcolm, and thus the earlier days of Doc Song. And I think for me, that is what makes the documentary songwriting space so special and important to me, is that right off the bat, I am walking in the door and I'm okay to mess up, and I'm feeling okay to mess up. I'm feeling okay to take as many takes as it takes. That's a lot of takes to make the space creative. And I feel like there is so much expectation when you're in the creative process to do it the first time perfectly and create something beautiful that is mastered and done. And you say, all right, I'm done with it. I'm going to go on to the next one. I'm going to record it and produce it and put it out there. What I love about this space so much is that we offer as much time as needed to make mistakes and to say, okay, let's try another take. I think we can do something a little different, or I think we can perfect it a little bit more. And offering the ability to mess up, like Malcolm was saying, it kind of rips all those walls down and really dives right into the space of being vulnerable. And I think as soon as you can offer those spaces, even as you're introducing the process, or if you're in the storytelling part of it, show that it is okay to mess up. As the teaching artist, you're expected to be the guide the whole way through, even though you won't be the guide all the way through, and more of a collaborator. You're someone who can offer examples of messing up. So don't feel like because you're in the driver's seat, or that you should be in the driver's seat, you have to be perfect the whole time, because that to me is where you go in the other direction of you always have to be perfect. And then the walls of creativity start to close in on you, and it gets tense, and both parties are scared to mess up. And so yeah, I know that's similar to what Malcolm was saying, but I really strongly believe in that space of vulnerability, and the ability to mess up from everyone is so important. Yeah, I would say that's a big part.
Do we have time for the bonus way that
Whoa.
when all strategies fail and there you are? And well, I'll give a specific example. I was working with a young couple who had just had a child, or excuse me, they were expecting to have their baby. And they were very excited, and they were going to write a lullaby for their baby. This was part of the Carnegie Hall Lullaby program. And so the two of them were in the room, and we'd gotten the lines. We were all set. Everything is great. And nobody's singing. Nothing I can do. Every technique falling flat. And finally, I would sing a line. I would sing just monotone, and then they would correct me and say, no, you should go up on that line or down on that line. And by actually giving them ownership over the pitches, that was the way that got them singing. Now, the surprising part about this is even when I did that, they still wouldn't sing. And it turned out that they would sing with me, but they wouldn't sing in front of each other. And these are married couple. So what we ended up doing was the husband left the room, and then I sang, and then the mother to be, she sang with me and adjusted pitches. Then she left the room, and the husband came in. And so the father to be, he could match it. And together, eventually, we put it all together. And on the actual recording, they both sang together. So there may have been some sort of bigger thing that happened there besides creating a song. In any case, the idea of singing one pitch and letting them control the melody adjustments may work. And we can demonstrate that, or Nora, you can be the role play person, however you want to do that.
Do y'all want to demonstrate? That sounds like a good way to do it.
Cool. Malcolm, do you want to be the teaching artist and I'll be the story source?
Sure. So I'm going to sing your line to you, Will, and you just tell me if you think it's perfect as is. I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Malcolm, it's kind of boring. It's on one pitch. Can you go up on coffee?
Sure, I'll go up a tiny bit and you tell me if that's what you like.
Okay.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Can you go up a little bit higher on coffee?
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
We're almost there, Malcolm. A little bit higher.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
I love it. That's where I want coffee. I just want...
Yeah, could you sing it back to me and make sure that I've got it?
Okay. I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Okay, I think we're on the same page and I love your singing.
Can we go down on wake?
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Not that much. A little bit.
I just want my coffee to wake me up.
Yeah, that's what I like. I just want my coffee to wake me up. Awesome. I don't know if I want anything else different.
That's great because we're almost out of time.
Perfect. Thank you, Malcolm.
Any questions on this particular technique, Nora? Anybody?
I know there's so many of me. No, I love how we've created so much space in this little subsection of a module, because I think it's so easy. I've just seen a lot this year. It's so easy to get caught up on the narrative side of things and getting the narrative perfect. But I think this is where the real meat and the real vulnerability happens. Yeah, it's just so fun to see all these techniques in succession. So yeah, so well described and demonstrated. So thank you both.
I just want to say briefly, what I love about that step 2 is that it's almost, there's not full dictatorship over the human instrument, such as the teaching artist, but there is that direction of, if someone doesn't feel comfortable at all in singing, not that you have to be the sole instrumentalist, as you saw, it kind of goes back and forth. So you ask the story source still to sing, and it still offers them space to sing. But in a certain way, they take ownership over the song by asking you to be the instrument. And they're almost by using you as the instrument, or by having you as the instrument, they're able to step more into the creator role, or more of the writer's role, and not be distracted if they feel really insecure about singing or feel really insecure about themselves. And you feel like that may take too much, or not too much time. If it feels like there's a lot of energy and insecurity about their own singing, you can take some of that pressure off by you being the instrument and them writing, and then passing that back and forth so that they feel excited to sing it. So that's one of the reasons why I love that step so much, is that it takes a lot of pressure off of both parties, and it makes it really fun.
Love that. Well, do we have anything else? Are we good?
We're good.
Those are the steps for today.
Malcolm, Will, thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching this video, thank you so much for being here too. Again, suggested donation for being here is $25. You can go to docsong.org/donate, and that'll be in your email. And any donations go directly to supporting our wonderful teaching artist educators. I'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.